Hello everyone, it's Angelika Kargulewicz, clinical nutritionist, and in today's episode we will talk about the immune system, how to boost naturally our immunity, how to be resistant to different infections. If you are interested in this kind of information, please stay with me today. In the beginning, I would love to say that the foundation of our immune system functioning is our daily habits, how we live. And it is also worth to mention that we build our immune system day by day. So this is not only the result of one action, it is a result of multiple actions which we exhibit on a daily basis. And when we talk about daily habits, I would like to emphasize the healthy lifestyle, and for sure we can talk here about the movement, physical activity, because it improves the functioning of our immune system. It allows the redistribution of the immune cells to the peripheral tissues, and it improves so-called immune competence. Regular physical activity increases the antioxidant potential, reduces the oxidative stress generated by free radicals, and also reduces the risk of inflammatory disease development. And the question is, how much of the physical activity do we need to support our immune system? So at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, or at least 75 minutes of the training of high intensity per week, including at least 2 times resistance training, because it is very important, this resistance training, to maintain our muscle mass, which is crucial for the proper functioning of our immune system. But we should also be aware that too much of the exercise, especially without a proper biological renewal and regeneration, can be very detrimental, because it even increases the susceptibility to infectious agents and, for example, increases the risk of the upper respiratory tract infections. And let's not forget about proper and good quality sleep, because sleeping hygiene is also very important. And let's not forget to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours per day. And in the context of the proper nutrition, let's not forget that the proper daily dietary habits translate into a proper nutritional status, which is crucial for the proper functioning of our immune system. And above all, it is very important to remember to compose the daily menu in that kind of manner that we have 30 different food products on our plates each day. It is very important, because if our diet is varied, we have this certainty that we include each and every nutrients which are very important for the proper functioning of our immune system. When it comes to the nutritional status, let's remember that too much of the weight loss is not a good option to support our immune system, because too low supply of the calories impairs the synthesis of the protein, and it compromises the proper functioning of the immune cells. The basis of our immunity is the protein status in our body, and we should provide at least 1 gram of the protein for each kilogram of our body weight. It is very important to provide a complete protein, and the good sources of the protein is meat, for example poultry, lean beef or venison. These kind of products provide us with around 20 to 23 grams of the protein for each 100 gram of the product. A good source of the protein are also marine fish like salmon, cod, sprat, sardines, herring or mackerel. These kind of the food products provide around 17 to 19 gram of the protein per each 100 gram of the food product. And let's not forget about eggs. 1 egg provides around 6 grams of the protein, and for example dairy in the form of natural yogurt and 150 milliliters of the natural yogurt provide us around 6.5 grams of the protein. And for people who do not consume animal food products, a good option to provide proper amount of the protein is a combination of the pulses plus pseudo cereals. So we can combine, for example, lentils, chickpeas, peas or beans, plus buckwheat, quinoa, teff or amaranth. Amaranth and quinoa provide around 14 grams of the protein per each 100 gram of the food products, and teff and buckwheat around 13 grams of the protein per each 100 grams of the food product. A cup of cooked chickpeas, it is around 10 grams of the protein, whereas a cup of cooked lentils or red beans, it is even 15 grams of the protein. To support our immune system, vegetables should be the mainstay of the menu. It is worth using seasonal and generally available vegetables, for example like cabbage, pumpkin, Brussels sprouts, beetroots, but also courgette or chicory. And optimally they should be served at every meal, for example stewed, boiled, roasted or raw. It is so important to eat sufficient amount of the vegetables and fruits because they provide a very important vitamin, which is vitamin C. It has an antioxidant effect and also influences the production of antibodies and alleviates the symptoms of respiratory infections. And it is worth to mention that a diet providing around 100 to 200 milligrams of the vitamin C is sufficient to achieve a proper concentration of this vitamin in the serum. And let's remember that strenuous physical activity, psychological stress and even the smoking of the cigarettes increases the need for vitamin C. A good source of natural vitamin C is pepper. 100 grams of the pepper provide around 144 milligrams of the vitamin C. Also a good source of the vitamin C are fruits, black currants. 100 grams of these fruits provide around 182 milligrams of vitamin C. And also a bunch of parsley, around 71 milligrams of the vitamin C. And for example, a glass of broccoli, around 83 milligrams of vitamin C. And let's not forget about spinach. 5 handfuls of the spinach provides around 70 milligrams of vitamin C. And to boost our immune function, we should also remember about eating plant oils like evening primrose oil, borage oil, echinacea oil and echinacea seed oil. They provide very important plant omega-3 fatty acids like stearidonic acid, but also gamma-linolenic acid, which is omega-6 fatty acid, but with an anti-inflammatory property. And even 1 teaspoon per day of these plant oils has antibacterial and antiviral properties. Plant oils are very important for our immune system, but let's not forget about marine oils because they are very important for the protection against infectious agents by improving the immune response. And very important omega-3 fatty acids like EPA and DHA we can find, for example, in cod liver oil. 1 teaspoon of cod liver oil provides around 1 to 2 grams of these fatty acids per day. But also a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA fatty acids, are mackerel, salmon, rainbow trout and caviar. Let's not forget about vitamin D. It enhances the synthesis of antimicrobial peptide cathelicidin, which provides the protection against viruses. And also when it comes to micronutrients, let's not forget about important mineral like selenium, because its deficiency increases the susceptibility to infection. And when it comes to the food, we can find selenium in fish, eggs, whole grain cereals, garlic and Brazil nuts. When it comes to minerals, one of the most important minerals for the immunity is zinc. Zinc deficiency also increases the susceptibility to infections, including viral infections. And when it comes to food sources of the zinc, we can find it, for example, in oysters, but also in beef, poultry, pork, but also lentils, cashews, pumpkin seeds and almonds. Valuable products with immunomodulatory properties are also products that contain live bacterial cultures such as pickled cucumbers, but also pickled cabbage and also pickled garlic, beetroots, tomatoes and even eggplants. And when it comes to fermented food products, let's not forget about milk fermented food products like yogurt, especially probiotic one, but also kefir, skyr and acidophilus milk. A diet that supports our immune system is also a diet rich in dietary fiber. But why? Because dietary fiber is fermented by a beneficial bacteria in our intestine, producing very important short-chain fatty acids like propionic acid, acetic acid, and also butyric acid. And these kind of short-chain fatty acids influence very significantly our immune system. And when it comes to sources of dietary fiber with a high fermentation potential, we can find this kind of dietary fiber, for example, in apples in the form of the pectin, but also in pulses, which provide saccharose and raffinose. Another important source of highly fermentable dietary fiber we can find in artichokes, chicory, leeks, garlic and onion, and in these food products we can find inulin. And for example, in barley and oats we can find beta-glucan, and in chia, plantago psyllium and plantago ovata we can find soluble and also insoluble fiber. A diet supporting the immune system should be also rich in flavonoids, which reduce the risk of upper respiratory tract infections. But flavonoids also possess anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiviral, and antibacterial properties. And when it comes to food that is rich in flavonoids, we can tell about green tea, dark chocolate, and also chokeberry. It is a good idea to add spices and herbs with warming and anti-inflammatory effect to meals like ginger, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, turmeric and horseradish. And let's not forget about bee products, which are very important for the immunity. For example, like bee bread. It is a rich in nutrient substance which is produced by bees. And bee bread is creating while bee workers are collecting the pollen from flowers and mix it with nectar and their own secretions. This mixture is then stored in a honeycomb cells where it undergoes fermentation, but it should be remembered that bee products like bee bread should be only used periodically, for example for 1 month a year in a dose of around 30 grams per day. In conclusion, all the lifestyle is very important when it comes to creating a good immunity, but not forget about varied and bioactive diet. If you liked my video, please leave the thumbs up, subscribe the channel, leave the comment in the section of the comments and see you soon in the next episode.